If God is good, why do so many people suffer? Why does a mother lose her child in an accident? Why does a faithful servant get diagnosed with cancer? And why do bad things happen to people who just wanted to do good? If you've ever asked yourself this question, or if you're going through a pain that seems meaningless, this video is for you. But let me warn you, the answer you're about to hear might not be what they taught you in church. And it could change your life, because hidden in the pages of the Bible is a deep spiritual principle, a divine code about God and suffering that reveals what He is really doing behind the pain. And it doesn't matter if you've been a believer for years or if you lost your faith a long time ago. What I'm going to show you now might forever change the way you deal with pain, with loss, and even with God. Have you ever stopped to think that suffering often feels like a sign that God is far away? That moment when everything falls apart and pain consumes us. But did you know the Bible sees it very differently? Isaiah 55:9 reveals that God's thoughts are not our thoughts, showing us that our limited view can't grasp the real purpose behind the pain. That changes everything. God, picture a child crying in the hospital, desperate over a shot she doesn't understand, but it's for her own good. That's us, suffering without seeing the bigger plan God has for our lives. God and suffering walk together in a way that challenges our human logic, but brings deep hope. Why does God allow pain? Because He sees beyond the moment. And if that already shakes you, hold on. This pain that feels like punishment or abandonment is actually part of a spiritual process most people don't even know exists. Suffering in the Bible doesn't mean absence. It means transformation from above. But wait, because there's more about how suffering can be divine refinement coming next. Have you noticed that the greatest lessons in life come during the hardest times? Pain might seem like an enemy, but according to the Bible, it's a tool God uses to shape our character. Romans 5:3-4 reminds us that tribulation produces perseverance, perseverance character, and character hope. This shows that Christian suffering is never in vain, but has a divine purpose. Think about gold. It only shines after being through intense fire. That's exactly how our faith and soul work. Pain purifies and strengthens. If you've ever faced loss, betrayal, or crisis, you know those moments, as painful as they were, became turning points for deep spiritual growth. That's why accepting pain as part of God's plan can transform your view of life. And if that already feels like a revelation, hold on, because the next topic will show you that suffering also has a spiritual root that many ignore, and it's deeply connected to the free will. God gave us . Have you ever stopped to think that pain and suffering aren't just accidents of fate, but tied to a greater choice? The Bible shows us in Genesis 2:16-17 that God gave man free will, the freedom to choose. That freedom, the greatest proof of divine love, also brought the possibility of pain and evil into the world. That changes everything we think about suffering. Imagine God not as a tyrant controlling every move, but as a father who respects our choices, even when they bring painful consequences. Even the angels had that choice, and one of them became Satan, the greatest symbol of evil. God and suffering are woven together in this mystery of free will, a theme few dare to explore deeply. And if that already makes you think differently, hold on tight, because the next part dives into the pain that Jesus Himself endured, pain that proves God understands our humanity completely. Have you ever wondered how a powerful God could truly know human pain? The Bible tells us in Isaiah 53:3-5 that Jesus was called a man of sorrows, familiar with suffering. He didn't just witness it, He lived it. Anguish, rejection, betrayal. This shows us that God is not distant from our pain. He shares in it. When a faithful Christian faces loss, illness, or injustice, they may feel alone, but Jesus already went through it. He understands the despair, the fear, and the loneliness that come with Christian suffering. That deep connection brings comfort and strength, reminding us that God never promised a pain-free life, only that we'd never face it alone. Have you ever noticed how many people only return to God after a great fall? Suffering often acts like a wake-up call, a loud cry to focus on what truly matters. Psalm 119-71 reveals this truth. It was good for me to be afflicted so that I might learn your decrees. Pain may be the key to unlocking deeper faith. In everyday life. How often does suffering force us to slow down, rethink our choices, and look beyond what's visible? It might be a broken relationship, a financial crisis, or even an unexpected loss. God uses these moments as a final whisper before the edge, to pull us back with open hearts and willing souls. And if that revelation already strikes you, stay with me, because the next part will show you that pain doesn't get the final word. There's a glorious ending reserved for those who persevere in faith. And if this already brings hope, get ready, because the next topic reveals that suffering can actually be a call to spiritual awakening. Pain might carry a message few people ever stop to hear, and that's exactly what we'll explore next. Can you imagine a day when every tear you've cried will be wiped away by God's own hands? That's not a metaphor, it's a promise. Revelation 21-4 says, "There will be no more death, or mourning, or crying, or pain." Suffering in the Bible never had the last word. It's just the prelude to something glorious. Watch here. Living right now might feel like a dark valley, but God already wrote the end of your story, and there's no tragedy that can erase what He planned. God and suffering meet at a place called hope, where the pain is real, but eternity is greater. The purpose of suffering isn't to crush us. It's to lead us to glory. And if all of this still feels distant to you, listen, today might be the chapter of pain, but the book of your life has pages you haven't read yet. And the next one might just be the turning point you've been waiting for. If everything you've heard here has stirred your heart in some way, don't ignore it. The suffering you're facing today might be exactly what God is using to awaken your soul. Pain has a purpose, and it might be the bridge between your ordinary life and the eternal plan God wrote for you. Will you keep asking, why do bad things happen? Or start asking, what is this preparing me for? How many times has God spoken to you through pain and you didn't notice? What if He's shouting through the silence? What if what you call a desert is the very place He's waiting to meet you? So don't leave this video without asking yourself, what is this pain trying to teach me? What decision can I make today to let God turn my suffering into purpose? If this message touched you in any way, share it with someone who's hurting. Send it to that person who needs to know they're not alone. And if you want to keep discovering truths like this, subscribe to the channel now and hit the bell, because there's much more deep revelation coming your way. What's in the next video might change your life all over again.